All right, lads, I'm not trying to assume anything, but I know this thought's probably crossed some of your minds at one point. Are we ever going to see character reworks in the game? Now look, we all know the current roster is solid as hell. Z's been delivering since day one, but here's the thing. What about all the crazy stuff the manga's shown us that still isn't in the game yet? Are we ever going to see those added? Or is it time to start reworking characters to reflect what we now know from the later arcs? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about in this video. And before we jump in, just a quick reminder, this video comes with another giveaway. If you want to join in, just make sure you watch the whole video, drop a like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts and your username. That's it. You're in. Now, back to it. So it's been what, about a year since the game launched? And yeah, Z never really misses. We've got one of the strongest rosters out there, probably the best among all the JJK Roblox games, no cap. But I'm not here to ramble. Let's talk straight. There are some characters that I genuinely think could use a rework, or at the very least, an update to their kit. You know what I mean? We all know Z cooked these characters with insane accuracy. The movesets, the animations, the gestures, it all reflects the manga perfectly. That's a fact. But think about it. Most of these moves and characters are still based on the early arcs of JJK. Isn't it about time we adapt what we've seen in the final arc of the manga? I mean, who wouldn't want that? Where's Agito? Where are the rest of the 10 Shadows Shikigami? What about Yuji's awakening, or just his standalone technique without Sukuna? Are we really just gonna sleep on those? If you ask me, it's time to get those things in motion. Would it be worth it? Could it actually make the game even better? Personally, yes. Why not? We've already seen how much depth these characters have in the manga, and if we bring that into the game, it's a huge win. And I think Yuji especially is long overdue for some love in that department. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's look at which characters might actually be first in line for a rework. It's a bit of a complicated topic, but don't worry, we're gonna break it all down and sort this out. So yeah, I'll admit it, some of the characters we have right now could definitely use a few updates. Whether it's a rework to their moves or just adding variants of abilities we've seen in the anime that haven't been brought into the game yet, there's still room to grow. But here's the thing, I don't think every character needs a full-blown rework just because they're missing one or two animations or mechanics. You feel me? Reworking a character isn't easy. It takes time, effort, and a deep understanding of what makes that character tick, from design to gameplay. So if JJS ever seriously looks into reworking anyone or adding significant moves to their kits, I think the main focus should fall on three key characters: 10 Shadows Megumi, Yuji, and Gojo. Let me explain exactly why, starting with Gojo. Now I know what you're thinking. Gojo? Really? Isn't he already one of the most polished characters in the game? And yeah, you're right. The current Gojo we have is super well made. Honestly, there's nothing negative I can say about him right now. But hear me out. This isn't about fixing the Gojo we already have. This is about bringing in a variant, specifically the final arc Gojo, the version that went toe-to-toe with Sukuna. Think about it. Z already gave us Heian Sukuna with a full boss moveset and playable design, so why not give us the unsealed Gojo to match that? I actually made a concept video for this a few months back, and to this day, we haven't seen any official hints, sneak peeks, or signs of progress on it, but the hype is still there. People are still talking about it in custom servers, community posts, YouTube comments, you name it. That right there tells you the demand is real. And I'm telling you, if they drop unsealed Gojo, it's gonna skyrocket the game's popularity all over again, no question. But, you know, let's just wait and see. I still believe that unsealed Gojo will make it into the game eventually, especially with how much the community's asking for it. But if I'm being real, I don't think it's at the top of the devs' priority list right now. Still, the potential is there, and when the time's right, that drop could be massive. Now let's talk about Megumi. So obviously, the Megumi we currently have in the game is built around his 10 Shadows technique, which if you didn't know, is a technique passed down from the Zenin clan that Megumi inherited. And honestly, the devs did a pretty good job showcasing most of it in his moveset. But there are still some parts of the 10 Shadows we haven't seen in the game yet, and that's mainly because some of those Shikigami were only revealed in the later arcs of the manga. Now I get it, some people might say, wait, didn't Sukuna use those, not Megumi? And yeah, you're right, technically, but here's where it gets a little complicated. The 10 Shadows technique is Megumi's technique. Sukuna only had access to it because he was using Megumi as a vessel. So even though it was Sukuna who summoned them in the story, the technique itself still belongs to Megumi. So if we're talking about bringing the full 10 Shadows into the game, there are a few possible directions this could go. Option 1, create an entirely new character, something like Meguna, Sukuna using Megumi's body, with access to all 10 Shikigami. But honestly, I don't think that's the route most people, or even Z, would want to take. It'd feel kind of redundant, right? Like just a reskin Megumi with some different animations. Option 2, introduce a new awakening or a skill upgrade quest system that lets the current Megumi unlock his full potential. That could actually be dope. It adds depth and progression, and it gives players something to grind for. But yeah, from a dev standpoint, that's probably a bit more complicated to implement. Now, option 3, which I personally think is the most reasonable, is to simply add the remaining Shikigami as variants to Megumi's existing kit. No Sukuna, no vessel twist. Just build out Megumi's moveset with what's already his. Because again, 10 Shadows belongs to Megumi, not Sukuna. Maybe even add a unique mechanic where he can summon Agito or some of the other Shikigami with cooldowns or a limit system. Something that still feels fresh without needing a whole new character. That way, we're not creating a messy overlap like Meguna or another clone character just to finish the 10 Shadows technique. Instead, we're evolving Megumi as he should be, within the context of his own growth. Hope that makes sense, because to me, it feels like the cleanest and most exciting way to do it. Alright, now let's talk about Yuji. And honestly, I think this guy deserves the most rework out of anyone. I mean, come on, he's just the main character, in case anyone forgot. And yet we don't even have the full Yuji in the game. Yeah, we've got the vessel, which is technically Yuji, but let's be real, that's early manga Yuji. The version we have now, it's not even half of the Yuji we've come to know in the full storyline of Jujutsu Kaisen. Right now, in-game, Yuji is basically just base form, and then his awakening, yeah, that's all Sukuna. And while that version's iconic and super well made, it's not the Yuji we've seen evolve, especially not the Shinjuku arc Yuji from the final parts of the manga. So what am I yapping about? Well, we're talking reworks or moveset additions, but the tricky part here is that this Yuji, the one in the game, already has a strong identity. People are attached to this version. He's been here from the start. He marked the game. So if Z were to completely overhaul him, like separating Sukuna from Yuji and building an entirely new awakening, wouldn't that upset a bunch of players? I mean, some folks will say, bro, I like that version already. Don't mess with it. So yeah, it's not easy, but if we really want to see full Yuji in the game, we're looking at a few options. Option 1, keep the current vessel and add another awakening tier. Like you charge the ult bar once, you can awaken into the current Sukuna-based form. Or, if you wait and charge it twice, you unlock Manga Yuji Awakening, complete with Dismantle Punches, Monster Fists, and maybe even his domain expansion. That'd be crazy. Now, option 2, go bold and just replace Sukuna's moveset in Yuji's Awakening with Yuji's own final arc abilities. But let's be honest, a lot of players would probably cry if that happened. Nostalgia hits hard. Option 3, play it safe and create a whole new Yuji character based entirely on his manga final form. But again, like I said with Megumi earlier, that can feel a bit redundant. You'd be reusing a bunch of base animations and it might not be worth it unless it's done really well. Either way, it's tricky. But one thing's for sure, Yuji deserves more love. The man's grown into a beast in the manga, and I think a lot of players are hungry to see that reflected in the game. Now, I'm not gonna dive deep into specific movesets here. This isn't a concept video, just me sharing some thoughts on what else could bring the game back to life, or what direction Z could explore if reworks are on the table. Anyway, that's it for now. I've got more ideas, so there might be a part 2 coming, but I want to hear what you think first. Drop your thoughts in the comments, let's talk about it, and who knows, maybe Z will be watching.